That's awful.
Okay. So the title of our film we've chosen is called The Midnight Confession. It's to do with like a murder mystery and like an inspector where someone has to confess by midnight with like what they've done. The title helped us think of a variety of narratives for our film opening sequence and gave us a push to start into our storyboarding. The title also links with our plot of what will happen in the film opening, which will be mentioned later in the presentation.
So how are we going to establish murder mystery in the film opening? So we're going to establish the genre of murder mystery through characters. So the characters that we're going to use in our murder mystery film include a murderer, a detective, and some witnesses who saw the crime occur. So we're kind of just pushing in those conventions to kind of spoon feed the genre to our audience. And the props that we'll be using is a poison flask from the science labs filled with mouthwash, and then a teaspoon, teacup, and a tea set. For our costume design, we're going to be doing kind of the conventional inspector costume, so a trench coat, briefcase, umbrella, notepad and a cane. Just smart casual as attire. Music. So we intend to use some upbeat music in our film opening, which will hopefully like make a very like confusing but like on edge like feel for the film. And then for shot types, we intend on using some establishing shots, close-up shots and pan shots. All of these shot types can help to show the murder mystery and suspense of what will happen. This can attract the target audience of people who are interested in the murder mystery genre.
Alright, so this is a breakdown of our sequence of what will happen, and so first it will show the inspector walking down to the building, as you can see there, and as he walks down, someone will notice him through the window, and then they will go back to dinner party and basically tell them what's going to happen. But then a flashback scene will also be used at this point to show the poison being put into the cup, and then a dinner party will be shown, and then someone obviously drink the cup, and then it transitions to the cup falling, and then the funeral area will be shown for that person who died, dead, and finally everyone who's involved in the crime scene. So everyone who's involved in the crime scene, the inspector will say, you basically have midnight to confess, which again is about title Midnight Confession.
The plot of our film is set at like a family dinner that takes place in a wealthy estate, and then someone gets poisoned and the detective comes and investigates to find out who did it, and then they have, say you have a time limit until they have to confess who's done it. The close-up shot is an important thing in our film because it shows like the inspector giving his dialogue of what's going to happen by saying you have until midnight to confess, which can have a cliffhanger for the audience to know, to like carry on watching the film to see at the end who's confessed. The pan shots are also an impact shot in the sequence as it shows the inspector movement to the area where the murder happens. There will also be flashbacks which will also be useful in our opening sequence. This is because it shows the poison being put into the cup, which creates clues for the audience to see what's going to happen in the sequence.
So representation of social groups and character types. So in our film we have diversity with gender by having one boy and two girls. So we have a slightly more female representation in our movie opening scene. However, we have kept more of a stereotypical approach to the inspector by making him male, while we also have taken a less conventional approach to making our villain character female.
So the tone and mood we want to create is we want to create a sense of mystery and unknown, and when the inspector walks down the driveway, it will give the audience the idea that has something to do with a murder mystery, and then it will attract the target audience who are interested in murder mysteries. and we would like to create a sense of mystery, unknown, and tension because it will keep the audience hooked in and interested to see what mysteries are solved and get to the result, get to the end result.
Our target audience is like people 15 and above. In our audience research, we found most people from our peers and are fans of films who like Knives Out, James Bond, and The Glass Onion. In our audience research, we found lots of people who were fans of plot twists, cliffhangers, and Daniel Craig style acting. Therefore, we took this information and made our film opening have all these elements. For example, basing our inspector on Daniel Craig's Knives Out character in the movie has some quirks in his character that we will try and emulate through our own inspector. In our research, we also saw that our peers like more non-linear storylines, which we will do by adding flashbacks and flash forwards in our sequence.
So location for our movie opening. So location that we've chosen to film in is like our school. So this is because it's practical as we know our way around it, and it will help to relate to our murder mystery opening. Another really good reason for why we've chosen to shoot it at school is because it has some very historic buildings, which is a very good setting for the murder mystery. Such as we're using Skipwith as it has more like manor and like old aesthetic, and like the church/graveyard because it has quite like a creepy vibe to it.
And some influences from other films. So we've looked at the movie Clue, and the film opening used a lot of upbeat music and scenery, which again will be included in our final project. And we've also taken inspiration from other films, including Knives Out. And then finally, this is our mood board. So this shows the type of conventions and styles we're going to use in our murder mystery opening.
Okay,
That's it.
fantastic. Thank you very much. Any questions from the assembled? You mentioned that you're going to go for a slightly more unconventional use of music to kind of maybe contrast what we're seeing on screen. Why have you gone for that way of doing things rather than following all the conventions?
I think it's because in our audience research we did ask our audience if they would like a more conventional and non-conventional storyline, and we got quite a lot of responses with having a more non-conventional elements put into it, so I think that's why we're doing it.
Okay, so making sure that you've got something that is engaging with the audience in a variety of ways. Fab. Any other questions? No? Brilliant.